Alright, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Big Bang Wrestling. I'm your host, Marcus. And you may notice that Nick isn't here with us today. I know I said 2 weeks ago he would be back on the show. However, he is still on his way back to Virginia from California. So he's making that long drive. I told him, don't worry about the show. I'll run it again this week. It's no problem. I told him take care of what he needs to, and I'll take care of this. He will be back with us in 2 weeks, though, when we come up with our next episode. So, I guess y'all are stuck with me again this week. Without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and get this rolling, so that way we get right into the nitty gritty of the wrestling the past 2 weeks. A lot has happened. Alright, everybody. Well, like y'all just heard me say, a lot happened the last 2 weeks. And probably the biggest thing that has happened was the string of the WWE releases that were just announced. And these weren't like undercard, mid-card guys. No. These were a lot of big players, some of their main eventers. One of them just competed for the WWE Championship at Backlash. And another one, they had just brought back and was getting ready to start a storyline with him. Those two I'm talking about, as you know, are Braun Strowman and Aleister Black. But, however, those weren't the only two that were released. And as announced by Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful, along with Strowman and Aleister, we also saw that Ruby Riott, Lana, Buddy Murphy, and Santana Garrett have gotten released. I don't know, personally, I don't know a whole lot about Santana Garrett, but these other five that got released, at one point or another, they were all big names. Just last year, there was a rumor floating that Aleister Black was going to win the Rumble and challenge Brock Lesnar for the WWE title at WrestleMania. But as we saw, he was instead replaced by Drew McIntyre. Braun Strowman, as we said earlier, he just competed for the WWE title at Backlash. WrestleMania Backlash is still Backlash to me. Ruby Riott, at one point, she had the hottest trio, stable going in the women's division, the Riott Squad. Lana, she was paired with Rusev for the longest time. Rusev got released. He went to AEW and became Miro. But Lana was paired up with Naomi, Ravishing Glow, or whatever they called it. And they were starting to pick up a little bit of steam, but then bam, out of nowhere, she gets released. Buddy Murphy, he got his push after a match on SmackDown with Roman Reigns. I guess WWE saw the talent they had and the potential he had. And then later on, he went to form a stable with Seth Rollins, becoming his disciple. And they ended up winning the Raw Tag Team titles. And then, after, his program with Rollins and his feud with Aleister Black, Buddy Murphy just kind of faded off. So, I don't understand why they'll push these guys for a bit and then just throw them off like they never existed except for main event. And like I said, Santana Garrett, I don't really know a whole lot about. But it surprised me that they released that many big names at one time. And I've been hearing rumors about WWE getting ready to sell partially to NBC. Whether that's what truth there is behind that, I'm not sure. I haven't heard too many details yet. But there's been that rumor. there's been that they're releasing these guys to bring a bigger name on, such as Brock Lesnar, which apparently he has re-signed with WWE because he's now listed as an active member on the Raw roster. And the reason I say that they released all of them to bring back Lesnar is because Braun Strowman had a high dollar contract during his negotiations for a base salary, without merchandise or any type of royalties or anything from his merchandise that he sold. He was making $1.2 million a year. That's a big contract, but not as big as some of the ones we have seen. But still, that's a pretty hefty contract, and I guess they thought that money was better suited to go towards Lesnar or somebody like that. Me personally, I'd rather have all of those names that I could push and make big names. Because we saw that's something that WWE has failed to do lately is make their own big names. They got to rely on names that have already been created or names they made 15 years ago and now want to bring them back. So we're going to see how that shapes up, and where these guys go is really going to be a good question. As soon as somebody from WWE gets released, they need to go to AEW. Not every person that's released from WWE needs to go to AEW. Because then, if that happened, what are we going to see any different on AEW than we didn't see on WWE? You literally will have all of the same people. And I don't think that's going to be good for the business because you're not seeing any newer names come up from the indies like AEW has been doing. However, one name I'd really like to see on AEW is Aleister Black because he could have a lot of good matches with a lot of people. So, really where these people go, they got a lot of options. Strowman has even said, once he stops wrestling for WWE, he's done wrestling, period. So maybe he'll get back into bodybuilding, or he said he released a tweet saying that he had plans. So what he has planned, we will see here in the near future. Ruby Riott, would be a great addition to the AEW women's roster because there's not really a lot of well-known names. You got Hikaru Shida, you got Britt Baker, Big Swole, she can be a big name there. Red Velvet, she's working her way up. Then you got Jade Cargill, she's been really impressing me here in the last couple weeks. Ruby Riott is a damn good performer and entertainer, and I think she would be strong in that women's division. However, I can't say the same for Lana, but seeing her and Miro paired back up would be refreshing. Again, Santana Garrett, I really don't know much on. Buddy Murphy, I think he would maybe... I'm stuck between him going to Impact or maybe New Japan. New Japan because it'd be a different site for me, I would think. However, if he did choose to go to AEW, he could have some good matches there too. But me personally, I'd like to see Murphy go to New Japan. But while we're on the subject of WWE guys going to AEW, we just saw that, starting at Double or Nothing and then continued on to this past week, we saw two names appear on AEW. One was a former world champion, the world's strongest man, Mark Henry. He came back, he appeared on AEW at Double or Nothing. And pretty much he's going to be like a guest analyst, commentator, trainer, coach, whatever you want to call him, for AEW's new show, AEW Rampage. So they asked him this past week if he had any intentions or felt like he could get back in the ring. Personally, I think he might have one or two matches left in him, but I wouldn't use him regularly in the ring. I think he'd be good for a mid-card run, But that'd be about it. He's getting older with age, and he could be very valuable to the AEW locker room as a coach and mentor. And then on AEW Dynamite this past Friday, we saw Vicky Guerrero. She came out and introduced Andrade El Idolo. Andrade Almas from WWE. He also wrestled as La Sombre and what was it? I think it was Ring of Honor and CMLL. But when he was in WWE, he could have been more than what they were allowing him to be. No, his mic skills aren't all that great, but mic skills should not make or break you in wrestling. His ring skills are just phenomenal. He could put on some very entertaining matches. And I saw where he did call out Kenny Omega for the AAA World Title, but he came on AEW and said that he wants to be the face of AEW. So whether they have a double title match or just an AEW World Title match is left to be seen, but that is going to be worth paying for and watching on pay-per-view. That's going to be a great match. After seeing all these WWE releases from this year alone, one question remains is, who does Raw really have left to challenge for the WWE Championship or even just be in the main event scene? Because on SmackDown, you got people, you have talent and on that roster that can be main eventers that aren't being utilized. You could move up Sami Zayn. You can use Kevin Owens. You can use Cesaro. You got Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns. We've seen Jey Uso do it. Baron Corbin, at one time, he was competing for the world title. You've got people, but they're all just being wasted in different ways. Chad Gable would be a great mid-card talent. You got people, and I know there's people that we're forgetting about because God knows we ain't seen them in forever because they're in the back eating catering and sitting on their ass. But Raw, who do they really have? Because all we've been getting really for the past 3 months is Lashley and McIntyre. We know we got McIntyre. You got Randy Orton, but he's doing that program with Matt Riddle, RK Bro, which is starting to grow on me. It's starting to get a little entertaining. At first, I wasn't a fan of it. I hated the idea. But it's starting to grow on me. And I'm starting to get interested in seeing where this is going to go and seeing what the payoff is for this team. But they ruined Bray Wyatt's character by having him lose that Inferno match to Randy Orton last year. And then they turned and had him lose again very quickly at WrestleMania. And they're using a lot of their main event guys, Orton and Styles, in the tag team division. You got Elias. He could be a main event guy. And I don't care what people think. Jackson Riker could be used to fill a role if needed. But instead of utilizing talents and putting them in teams that could grow organically, they're taking main eventers down to the mid-card and tag team divisions instead of using people they got sitting in the back. And that is a result of WWE breaking up tag teams lately, such as Elias and Jackson Riker. They broke up the Hurt Business. They let the Hardys go. They got Kofi Kingston pulling double duty, it seems like. Who do they have? And I would like to see your answers and opinions in the comments of this video, or even on social media pages. I want to see what y'all think, who they got, And NXT, they're starting to hurt a little bit too. But I'm going to get to that here shortly. But like I said, I really don't see what direction WWE is headed. They could use Jeff Hardy and Jinder Mahal. They could fill in both, whether it be the mid-card or world title. Both of them are former world champions, so why not utilize them? Maybe the only other thing that I could think of that ties into this is a supposed partnership that WWE is trying to establish with New Japan Pro Wrestling. Could they maybe acquire talents from them to fill in this void that they have created? WWE has been mostly Nick Khan from the WWE executive office, whatever. I'm not sure of his exact role, and I really don't care. I know it's just somebody in WWE has been contacted, the officials over at New Japan Pro Wrestling to establish a partnership to where WWE would be the exclusive North American partner for New Japan. Now, is this to fill a void that WWE has created themselves with their roster? Or is this to solely to prevent, Ring of Honor, Impact, and AEW from working with New Japan? Me, personally, I think it's more of the latter. As we have seen before, WWE has been petty with a lot of things in regards to AEW, and same can be said for AEW towards WWE. They can deny it all they want. I think really it's kind of a war going on between the two promotions because AEW is the second hottest promotion in North America right now on a national scale for wrestling. In terms of money, viewership, and things of that nature. But Tony Khan has released his statement on that situation. And in fact, I'm going to get ready to play that for you right now.
Fans, as we set to go live on TNT tonight with AEW Dynamite at 10 o'clock Eastern Time, I introduce to you the CEO, the owner, the president of All Elite Wrestling and the Forbidden Door, Mr. Tony Khan.
Thank you very much, Tony. I appreciate it, Mr. Schiavone. And as we get ready to go live tonight on Dynamite on TNT, I just wanted to address, as the Forbidden Door, I read in The Observer today that New Japan Pro Wrestling apparently has had talks with WWE's president, Nick Khan. Well, Nick, I have to say, if you've been talking to New Japan Pro Wrestling for 2 months, you've gotten a lot done. But just in the last 2 weeks, I've had Yuji Nagata, Ren Narita, and Rocky Romero on AEW. I've reunited Roppongi Vice. I've had the New Japan IWGP US champion Jon Moxley defend the title successfully on our show, retaining it. And I have future plans with New Japan Pro Wrestling for the US title. So you must have really gotten a lot done in the 2 months, Nick. In fact, I think there's only room for one Khan in the wrestling business, Nick. And it's me, it's Tony Khan. It's not some con man from Connecticut. Have a fun show tonight, Nick. See you on Dynamite.
Now, as we just heard from the AEW owner, Tony Khan, he has accomplished a lot with AEW here in the last couple of weeks. Like he said, he's reunited teams. He's had New Japan titles defended on his show. He's had appearances and everything. And apparently, according to Tony Khan himself, he has future plans with them already laid out. So it doesn't look too promising for WWE in regards to a partnership between the two promotions. Especially if all that Tony Khan just said is true. Doesn't look like it's going to happen really anytime soon. Because I know a partnership, I don't think it's with New Japan specifically, but I know WWE has been wanting to partner with a Japanese promotion. And I think they just went to New Japan, being that they're the biggest promotion over there right now. However, you do have All Japan Pro Wrestling that you can work with too. Because WWE's main goal, from what I've been hearing the last year or so, is that they want to open a developmental brand over in Japan. Basically NXT Japan is what they're trying to do. And I know one time they were looking at trying to buy one of the promotions. Now they just want to work with them. So where that goes is left to be seen. But I don't see a partnership between New Japan and WWE happening. Because, yeah, WWE could offer more money. But right now, New Japan is working with at least 3 major North American promotions. They're working with AEW, they're working with Impact, and they're working with Ring of Honor. And if they partner with WWE solely as the exclusive North American partner, those 3 brands, you can't work with them no more. So there's so much that you can do, but they won't be able to do because they're partnered with WWE. However, that's the news for this week that I've got myself. Now let's go into the moments and flops of the week. My top moment this week came from NXT. And that was after Adam Cole. At first he come out and attacked everybody that was in that triple threat match for the number 1 contendership, to go against Karrion Kross at In Your House. He came out and attacked everybody. Match got called off. They took Adam Cole to the back. Adam Cole comes back out and basically he calls out Karrion Kross. Karrion Kross comes out. Adam Cole says he wants his NXT title back. William Regal comes out and says that match isn't happening. Kross tells Regal basically to shut up. He wants everybody. So now, maybe we wind a little bit. He said he wants everybody. He wants Adam Cole and all the others that were in that number 1 contendership match. So now at NXT In Your House is going to be Karrion Kross defending his NXT title against Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, Pete Dunne, and Johnny Gargano. And so that's a packed match. That's a lot of talent in one match. If that's not a match of the year candidate, somebody fucked up. Because there's too much talent in that match to not be good. But that segment between Cole and Kross, that was probably some of the best work I've seen from them from NXT in a while. Because that promo, it felt natural. It didn't feel forced to me. So I think their program, it seems like it could go on for a little bit. But, we'll see where NXT plans to go with it. The flop for me these past 2 weeks was really just seeing all the releases. Because, again, there was so much talent. Plans were being laid out for Aleister Black making his long-awaited return. And they brought him back on SmackDown, had him ruin the Intercontinental title match and helped Apollo Crews win. Next thing you know, he gets released. So there went that. So that was very disappointing to see. Now we go to the best match of the week. And we know there's a lot of wrestling that comes on during the week. Just with WWE alone, you got Raw, SmackDown, NXT, NXT UK, Main Event, I think I already said NXT UK. It's bad when you lose track of all the shows they keep up with, they run. And don't forget about 205 Live. And then you got Impact, you got Ring of Honor, you got New Japan, you got MLW, you got Championship Wrestling, you got NWA, and you got AEW and AEW Dark. I think I just listed about 15 shows. I probably lost count again. But it's too much damn wrestling. So I don't get to watch all of it. I mainly try to keep up with Ring of Honor. I keep up with WWE for the most part and AEW. Because Impact, it's too painful for me to watch. I can't get into it. I've tried and I've tried. I can't get into it. New Japan. I don't know a whole lot of the people. I know some. Nick will make suggestions to me, and I'll go check them out. And if it's people I know, I'll check it. I'll watch it then. But all the wrestling I've watched this week, the best match I saw was the Intercontinental title match between Apollo Crews and Kevin Owens. At some points it looked like KO might have been getting the win. That's the way it looked to me that they're building it. Even though we saw him get attacked shortly before the match in the backstage area by Commander Aziz. It was a great back and forth match. The way that Apollo Crews won was different because he didn't hit a finisher. It was kind of sudden. KO was really selling the rib injury. And Apollo Crews hit the Death Valley Driver, I believe it was, on the ring apron, rolled him back into the ring and pinned him. It was sudden and it was good. I liked it because it was different. You were not expecting it to end off of that. So when it did, I was just kind of like, holy shit, he just won the match off of that? It was a shock, but it was a good shock. Because normally, there's only two ways really a match in WWE, three ways a match in WWE ends. It's either by finisher, roll up, or DQ. So seeing the match went off of a simple move, selling an injury like that, it was nice. It was good. It was different. So they sold it. They told the story. And then Sami Zayn comes out after the match and attacks KO. Saying that I didn't kick you. I didn't attack you. Karma did. I'm curious to see what else they can do with Sami and KO because they've been feuding for the longest damn time now. They feuded at NXT. They feuded on Raw, I think, once or twice. They've been feuding on SmackDown for just about the whole year. So seeing what else they can do is going to be interesting because I don't think there's much left between those two. So the Fight Forever chants need to stop, damn it. I'm getting tired of seeing them two fight. Now, it's time for my favorite segment of the show, and that's the classic match of the week. For those who are new to the show, that is where me and usually Nick will pick out a match from the past, from any promotion, that means something to us for various reasons. Whether it's a sentimental thing, whether it's just a good match, great story, good build, what have you. Something made these matches that we pick stand out. And for my classic match this week, it was actually from SummerSlam 2008. And growing up, Batista and John Cena were two of my top favorites. They were the top two faces of the company really at that time. So seeing them go one-on-one for the first time ever was exciting. At that time you didn't know who was going to win. Now, you had the two top guys in the company. Anything was possible. Especially that the storytelling in WWE then was a lot better than it is now. There was a lot of excitement to this match. There was a lot of build to this match. And it was a great match the whole way through. Until the very end where Cena went to go for that diving leg drop and Batista was able to catch him into a powerbomb. When Cena landed from that first powerbomb, he suffered a legitimate herniated disc. So then they had to end the match quickly. So Batista picks him up, hits a Batista bomb, covers him for the pin. 1, 2, 3, match is over. Still, it was a great match to me. again, reason being I picked this match was 2008. God, I was maybe 14, 15 at the time, so I was excited. Again, I was a kid. Two biggest names in the company, two of my favorite guys going one-on-one for the first time ever. I didn't know who was going to win. I had my little Cena jersey. I was pulling for Cena at that time. It was still a great match. But, again, Cena was out with an injury for 3 months. But then he would return later on at Survivor Series and defeat Chris Jericho for the World Heavyweight Championship, which that itself was a great match. It was weird how Cena lost a match at SummerSlam, and then he comes back 3 months later from an injury and gets a title match. The booking didn't make sense to me. You'd think he'd have another match before he just comes back and gets the world title again. But maybe that was the plan all along, is for Cena to have the belt. But either way, Cena Batista, SummerSlam 2008, first time ever. I'm going to post a YouTube or Daily Motion link for that match and even the promo before the match, so you can kind of get an idea or a slight refresher on what the build-up was like for that match on our social media pages. Again, next time we do a show, Nick will be back with us. So there'll definitely be a lot more input, a lot more comedy, and more opinions and whatnot to the show. And we'll have more to talk about because it's more than just me sitting alone in front of the camera running my mouth about wrestling for the past 2 weeks. But now I'm going to do the best I can with what I got, Anyways, for everybody that's been watching and keeping up, thank y'all. I appreciate you. Without the viewers, me seeing how many people watch and seeing everybody being supportive of this, it would be hard for me to keep going on with it. But that's my motivation, is seeing how successful you can be and seeing how people will support you. So for everybody that supported us and helped us out thus far along the way, I thank you. I appreciate you. And on that note, it's about 3 o'clock Monday morning. I'm tired, so I'm going to upload this and get my tail into bed. Thank you for watching. Again, I'm Marcus. Nick told me to tell y'all he misses us. And we'll both see you in 2 weeks. Have a safe night. God bless you.